My name is Andrew Waterhouse, Director of the Robert Mondavi Institute. We're here to get a little tour of the Institute facilities, but first I was going to tell you a little bit about the Institute itself. It was created back in about 2000 by a gift from Mr. Robert Mondavi, and in around 2000 made a major gift to the University of California at Davis. That gift was used to establish the facilities we're going to be viewing, which house the Department of Viticulture and Enology and the Department of Food Science and Technology. So the first thing we're going to see this morning is the sensory theater, so follow me. So we're here in the sensory theater, which is where students actually learn about tasting both food and wine. So they have their tasting classes here, both lectures and the actual laboratories where they taste in class. The other thing that happens here, of course, is we have a lot of public lectures. So if you see the Robert Mondavi Institute promoting a lecture on fermented foods, for instance, this is where you'd come to hear the lecture. Next, we're going to go see the tasting booths for the research labs. Now we're over at the J-Lore Sensory Room, and Annegret Cantu, one of the scientists who work here, is going to explain how the tasting room works.
So today I'm going to show you what we're going to do here, or what we are doing here in the Heyman Sensory Lab, if you want to come with me. So I'm here today to explain you a little bit what we are doing in the lab of Professor Heyman. We are doing sensory evaluations, and we work mainly with wine. So here you can see this is usually where the panelists that come in and evaluate our wines. That's where they sit and where they meet to discuss the wines. And then later on, when they are trained, which takes a while, like everything from 3 to 6 weeks, depending on the complexity of the wines, they will go into booths and evaluate these wines. So these are the booths where once the panelists are trained, they come in here, and these are the black glasses that we use for wine evaluation and also for other products. So the panelists cannot see the color of the wine, because that influences also how they perceive aromas, taste, and mouthfeels.
So I think we should stop here for a second and just take a look around. This is the Good Life Garden, and we've got some citrus trees here. The vineyards out there, we'll look at that later. Some more citrus and olives there. And then we've got some beautiful olive trees here that were planted about 50 years ago elsewhere on campus. Then we've got here some figs and some pomegranates. It's really a beautiful garden. So this here is our special collections room. It's where we keep our wines that actually are used for tasting classes or special events. Some of the bottles are in fact quite special and donated to us with signatures and so on the bottles. Well, if you look around here, you'll see quite a few bottles of wine, and there's two types of wine here. One is the wine that the Department of Viticulture and Enology actually has made for us with UC Davis grapes from Napa Valley. So we have some Cabernet and some other wines here that are made with our label. The other wines are donated by people who like to support our program. For instance, now here's one wine that was donated by John Gist and Kay Gist. John collected a lot of Bordeaux wines in the 70s, and they had some left over. They wanted to donate it to the university. So this is very important for our students because this wine is a 1970 Bordeaux. So this wine is 50 years old, actually 51 years old. And it's unusual, of course, to be able to taste a 50-year-old wine, but it's quite important for a winemaker to know what a 50-year-old wine tastes like. So let's take a look in the winery here. Now, one thing that's very unusual about this winery is that there's a classroom right next to it. And right over here you can see we have a classroom that has glass walls between it and the winery itself. That's very important because students now go in there and hear from the teacher what they're going to be doing that day, and then the teacher can send them out into the winery and keep a close eye on them while they're doing their operations during the day. The large tanks behind me are about 2,000 liters, 500 gallons roughly speaking, and we use these for a few large experiments, not very often, but largely for teaching the students how to make wine in a commercial environment. So in the winemaking class, each laboratory section, that's about 20 students, will make one tank of white wine and one tank of red wine, so they learn how to do the basic operations. So these small fermenters were donated by T.J. Rogers, and the cold and hot water are used to control the temperature of the fermentation. The system here also has a cell phone chip in it, which talks to a computer over in that room and downloads all the data. So you can actually look on your phone and see what the progress is in your fermentation from afar. So one of the things about making wine or beer or any food product is quality control. In this laboratory here, wines are routinely analyzed during fermentation to check sugar levels, acid levels, alcohol levels, and many other things. We're at the brewery here, and Joe's going to show us around since he's the brewmaster.
Welcome to the August Busch InBev Pilot Brewery. This is our research brewery on campus. We do really three main things here. We do a fair bit of teaching in this brewery. We do a fair amount of research, both for industry and also as for grad students research as well. So the main brewery is a 1.5 barrel pilot brewery. It's got 6 vessels. So on this far end, we've got 2 mash tanks, one of which could be used as a cereal cooker. So we can do adjunct beers using rice or corn like the large brewers would use. And we can also just do all malt beers like we typically use for most of our research. Traditional brewing process would be that we'd actually start in this room over here. And inside this mill room, we've actually got 2 different mills. We've got a standard 2-roller mill. And what we're after is the starch inside there. And we'd add that milled malt and hot water to our mash tuns. And the hot water would activate those enzymes that were created during the malting process and break down the starch. So we get students in here for 10 weeks. We didn't get them in here this year, but normally have about 35 or 40 students in here for 10 weeks. They make 30 liters each time. The first batch we give them a recipe for and just kind of walk them through the process. And then the other times they get to make their own recipe. And the goal for them is to really start to understand their process and their ingredients and to come up with a final recipe that they're proud of.
All right, well, let's go in and hear from Matt about the food processing plant. And Matt helps run the processing plant here, and he's going to show us around this facility.
So this facility is sort of a multi-use teaching and research facility. On the research side, we contract with labs on campus all over, pretty frequently with plant science, animal science. We also contract with outside industries, so we have 2 fairly large-scale projects every year. One is a tomato quality analysis project. We do that for outside seed companies. We also have a long-term ongoing peach processing project with a professor on campus from plant sciences. Back here in the back is a spray dryer. The purpose of this is to turn liquid products into powders, like that cheese powder that comes in your macaroni and cheese box. So this is really popular with the cold press juice crowd, or anybody who doesn't want to heat up a product but still wants to pasteurize it for safety. So the idea in this is that instead of heating a product to make it safe to kill any bacteria or anything else we don't want in it, we use super extreme pressures instead. So this one for example, standard juice processing would be the equivalent of the pressure 3 times the bottom of the ocean. So around 90,000 PSI. And so this is reasonably effective at making products safe for consumption, just like heat pasteurization, but without the heat. So this is another one of our multi-use teaching and research facilities. This is our Carlos Alvarez Food Innovation Lab. So this facility is primarily used for classes in the Food Science and Technology Department and Viticulture and Enology. What we have is two sides to the lab. This side is what we call our teaching side. It's 6 more or less identical stations stocked with all the same things, so we can have groups of students doing various experiments. Say we could make bread one week, and each group would have a normal control bread, and each group would also have some sort of variation, like one would have wheat flour, one would have rye flour, one would have rice flour with no gluten at all, and they could see what that final result would be at each station. We also use this quite a bit for things like cooking workshops, occasionally cooking competitions that are fundraisers or just fun activities for our student groups. We do group workshops for the undergrad clubs. We also have a commercial side, so this side is more modular. We have the ability to switch in restaurant equipment very quickly. We could reconfigure the entire space in 10 minutes as long as we have the right equipment. So we have restaurant clients that want to conduct sensory research, for example, and they would come in here and bring their equipment from their restaurant, cook whatever dish they want analyzed, and we could send it right out the back door into the sensory labs or the sensory theater for consumer research.
So now we're at the UC Davis Vineyard here on campus, and it's mostly a teaching vineyard. Students learn how to prune and plant and I don't know, irrigate maybe?
Irrigate and train the vines. Yeah.
Right. And Guillermo runs the vineyard, so he's going to tell us all about it. Okay.
Hi friends, welcome to our vineyard. Here we are in Davis, and my vineyard, where we are mostly teaching students how to grow, how to train, and how to produce grapes. As starting the season, some bud bursts happening in some of the grapes. So now Mother Nature is going to be our boss. So now she's going to push us to work hard in the vineyard in order to get sounds and ripen grapes. So you can see the shoots, little shoots coming. So this is just nature. Teaching vineyard so is different than the regular vineyard that you can see all over California or even other parts of the world. Here we want to teach the students, the next generations that are going to be running this industry, the best tools that we have and we know. Here we have the irrigation system. As you know, California has all over the world, water is a very precious resource that we have, so we take care of them. We use drip irrigation systems that in order to provide the exact amount of water that the vines need in order to achieve our goals.
We've got some water tanks here, and more tanks beyond that. We have the Jess Jackson Sustainable Winemaking Building. So the Jackson Building is basically a platform to do experiments on sustainable food and wine processing. Well, I hope you've enjoyed your tour of the Robert Mondavi Institute and all our facilities here. And I hope you've gotten a little look at what happens here behind the scenes with our students, our research facilities. And I certainly look forward to seeing you here in person in the near future.